bumping away and steaming for all to see. El Cachorro, El Cachorro. There's a dawn of superheroes here today for you and me. El Cachorro, El Cachorro.
What's up, Cachorrites? We're back with an El Cachorro movie review. It's not a horror movie, sort of, not really, actually, but it's a new movie. Venom the Last Dance. Went and saw it here on opening day, so we actually are going to get a video out kind of on time for once, maybe. So, this is... Venom is a franchise that everyone loves Venom. The first movie was pretty good. It was fun. It was enjoyable. It was... First off, we have to get out of the way. Yes, Sony did their own little thing. There's no Spider-Man, whatever. That's the producers, the owners of Sony. I'm not going to rate these movies because they don't have... I'm not going to hurt these movies because they don't have Spider-Man, because that was never an option for the directors to use to begin with. That was taken out of their hands. So, boom. It's a universe with no Spider-Man. Bam. Okay, we're done. It's over. So, that said, these movies... The first movie was... still pretty good. Second movie, I feel that, it was a letdown. They kind of did Carnage kind of dirty. Trying to keep it PG-13 was kind of really ruined Carnage, and Woody Harrelson's portrayal was sometimes good, sometimes bad. So we get the third one, Venom the Last Dance, and to my knowledge, this is supposed to be the finale, the final one. Tom Hardy's supposed to be, I believe, done. Maybe. Or is he? So this movie was very mixed. I enjoyed the movie, but it definitely had flaws, and it definitely kind of had a letdown. But the more I thought about it, I do kind of get it, and I have a crazy theory here they could go with. Doubtful. It's Sony. I doubt they'll do it, but we'll save that to once we get into the spoilers and stuff. The story is meh. It's got potential to be really good, but it was, just meh. This movie gets kind of slow, real slow in the middle. There's some, it slows down. And then we get a good finale. It's not the one you're hoping for, but it was still an enjoyable finale. So I liked the movie, but I also didn't like the movie. But overall, I did have fun with it. So I'm going to give it a 7. I do think it was a good possible final act for Tom Hardy and Venom and stuff like that. And I said if he's done, I don't know. It's hard to say, but supposedly this is supposed to be his final one. So I give it a strong 7. It's a fun movie. It's still a fun one. It's definitely worth watching. If you're going into one of these movies expecting them to be perfect, you're already going to fail thematically. It's Sony. They have their flaws. They're Marvel adjacent. They don't have the Marvel tie-ins. And we even get to see that because they completely retconned an MCU tie-in that we've already had. So the movie starts. So like I said, so it's 7. So now we're gonna get into talking about the movie and spoilers part. So go watch it if you haven't yet watched it, or like my video and then you can turn it off. Just like my video, please. Give me a like. Any likes, badly? Alright, so we kind of goes back to what was it? Is it the No Way Home, where so at the end of Venom 2 is we saw where he got pulled into the MCU, and then the No Way Home had a cutscene where he got pulled back to his universe, But then there's like a tease that like a slither of the symbiote got left behind. So this movie opens with him in the MCU. And I guess the bartender's telling him about Thanos and his family was disappeared for 5 years. And Hardy's trying to, say there's no way an alien with a bunch of stones. Aliens eat brains and stuff like that. And then we see him get pulled back into his universe. He's at the same bar with a different bartender. And as Venom takes over the bar and he starts destroying the bar while making a tequila, some kind of tequila drink. I don't think it was a margarita. I don't know what the hell he was making. Making a drink. There's a news broadcast talking about the murder of Patrick Mulligan for the last movie. And is being pinned on Eddie Brock. And I believe he, I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah. So yeah, Carnage killed him, but I think there was a symbiote part that got attached to him I think there was a cut scene where he came by, he was saved by a symbiote, I believe. I haven't seen that movie in a while because I was so disappointed with it. I never gone back and really watched it again. I think I even owned it on Voodoo. It's just for the fact that it's Carnage, so I bought it. But I think it was the detective guy. I believe he died, but there was like a symbiote slither got on him, and he bonded with a symbiote. Or else, well, we're gonna find out later that somehow he got connected with a symbiote. Actually, yeah, I don't know. Maybe he didn't, because this. Yeah, okay. So I definitely would not quite sure on what happened with him, or maybe he was barely alive. So now they know they're wanted for murder. Now everyone's not looking for the hero, so now they don't want to stay in Mexico, but they know they can't go back to San Francisco. And then so they see this little Statue of Liberty figure, and then he's like, there's a judge I got dirt on in New York. Maybe we can bribe him to clear our name. So their goal is to go to New York. And as they leave the bar, Venom uses one of his tendrils to slap a peso on the bar stand to tip the bartender, and it leaves a little slither of the Venom symbiote behind. And so as they're walking, they hear something in distress, and this is where we get the scene from the trailers where they find some people that were holding dogs for they're fighting dogs. Actually, you know what? I did forget the opening. What do you look? Wikipedia, you lied. You hold on a minute. You forgot the opening of the actual movie. Actually, I was going off Wikipedia here, but they kind of actually didn't put in the actual opening of the movie. So the opening of the actual movie is we're on some planet thing with all these creatures in the darkness, and we see a figure with white hair hanging down. He's doing some cryptic talking about he needs the codex, and find the codex, and I will give you. He's got these creatures, these beast things, that he starts sending them through teleports. Tell them to go find the codex to free him. Obviously, that's going to be Null. So that's what the movie actually starts with. Sorry, Wikipedia left that off. I'm using that just to help make sure I don't forget anything. So then Eddie goes to the plane, and they go to help the dogs. Because Venom's like, hey, if we're going to get to New York, I need some brains, man. I need some food. He's like, bad guys means I get to eat them. So that's where we get the whole scene with the dog people and the dog abusers. And, he goes through, beats them, eats all their heads and frees the dogs. And one of the dogs breaks Eddie's shoe, which is a running gag through the movie, is going to be Eddie with having shoes. So he loses one of his shoes, and the Venom symbiote says, "Hey, here's some boots off one of the dead people. Yeah, you can wear these." So he puts on the boots, and he starts walking out to get to New York. And as he's walking, we see one of the portals open, and one of the creatures falls through, and we can kind of see they're kind of got what's the movie Pitch Black? It's actually very similar to Pitch Black. They have this pitch black. If you've ever seen that movie, that kind of vision where everything's kind of gray and lines through it and stuff like that, and they can kind of see Eddie walking, but in the dogs and stuff like that, and they just scan him, and then they just walk up onto a roof, and Just ironically how one lands so close to him, and the whole planet, one lands right there in Mexico, where he's at. We're gonna find these things that are like freaking super teleporting fast, anyways. But there's also show scenes of these cameras, that caught Eddie Brock's appearance. So we see a thing where some people use the cameras and they recognize Eddie Brock, and the creatures are known as xenophages. The attention of Rex Strickland, a soldier who oversees Imperium, a government operation at the site of the soon-to-be So Area 51 is being decommissioned. But what people don't know is that's just the facade of the surface. Deep underground is where they have the real laboratory with symbiotes. So before we get to that part, though, is we see the bartender, and he sees like the little symbiote thing crawling on this thing, and he's going to go touch it, and then someone slaps down a vial and collects the symbiote. But I'm pretty sure this scene is the one it's retconning in the scene where a piece of the symbiote got left behind in the MCU when Eddie got pulled back to his own dimension. So I think this scene is supposed to say, that little slither that was left on the bar? No, that was this is where it happened at, and we collected it, so there's nothing happened. So I'm pretty sure that was retconning that whole, was there possibly the symbiote left behind in the MCU? So obviously Sony and Disney and Marvel decided, they didn't want to use that connection for the symbiote to cross over into Marvel or something with their deal, whatever Sony's plans are in the future and stuff like that. So for some reason, it does appear like they completely retconned that slither of symbiote being left behind. So no, it happened here, and we collected it, and they took the bartender into custody and stuff like that. We get introduced to our lady scientist, Dr. Oh, whoops, wrong one. What's her name? Dr. Payne? Dr. Payne, played by Juno Temple. Obviously, Tom Hardy plays Eddie Brock. Rex Strickland is played by Chitwal. I have no idea how to say his name. He played Baron Mondu in the Doctor Strange movies. So we get introduced to her. She's sleeping but having this nightmare flashback of her and her brother, who's dreaming about going to space and looking for alien life and all this stuff. That was his dream. They're laying out, looks like in a desert area, looking at the stars, talking about their dreams. And all of a sudden we start seeing this lightning thunderstorm right above them, and they hear the thunder. They go, if you can hear the thunder, it means go indoors or run or something like that. So they start running from the storm. They grab hands. Lightning strikes down her side, hits her shoulder, scars her face because we see that she has a scar on the side. She's all scarred up on the side of her body, but goes right through her arm into her brother and kills her brother. Okay, here's the thing. So from the scene, it looked like they were kind of like in a desert, at least a wide open area, which means when there's lightning, you'd be the tallest thing around. You don't want to be the tallest thing around. But if you in a desert area like that, you can usually see for miles. And I would say it should be pretty hard for a lightning storm to sneak up on you. You should kind of see it coming and hearing the thunder, so you should have known to get they should have known to get indoors way before it got on top of them. Just a nitpick is like how do you not see hey, wow, there's lightning over there. Okay, who cares? Oh shit, now it's above us. Now we better freaking get inside. So I thought that was kind of funny. It's like yeah, it shouldn't have snuck up on you, but okay. So then we cut that she's working. She shows up at the Area 51. Oh, the way we found out about Area 51 was we did get a scene with this kind of hippie family that are looking for aliens. So they're talking about they're going to Area 51 to try and catch something before it gets decommissioned. So that's how they relayed the Area 51 news to us. So we see, we get a couple if you've ever heard the term of Chekhov's gun, which I'm not quite sure the movie that is from, but it's a movie trope where they introduce something in the movie to you towards the beginning that's going to turn out to play a role by the end. So we get kind of two of them here. So they're showing up at. She's coming in the Area 51 to go to work. We see them using this acid bath thing to kind of melt stuff down, like tanker trucks, it look like, and stuff like that. And when she's talking to the security guard, so we get Chekhov's acid bath. And then she's talking to the security guard. He's like, yeah, soon there ain't going to be nothing left but dirt and rubble. And the doctor's like, and cockroaches. Cockroaches have been around for over 200 million years, and they always survive. So we get Chekhov's cockroach as well. You'll find out how that works later at the end. So she goes in. There's like this waterfall sand. I don't know what it's supposed to be. Kind of looks like a waterfall built of sand or something like that. So she drives through it. And it's like an entrance to the secret underground layer where they go down, and they have a bunch of symbiotes in stasis. And the military guy shows up with his little part, the slither they have. We also find out that the detective is alive, and they have him there. And I think they actually mentioned that they bonded him with one of the symbiotes, that he was a perfect bond for one of the symbiotes, and that's what the symbiote saved his life. So I guess he survived the last movie. I can't remember how he died. It's like Carnage did something to him. So I guess so they took him and they played him off as dead. And they're bonding with the symbiote with the hopes of communicating with the symbiote. So we cut back and Eddie is half venomized, and they're holding on to the outside of a plane, so that was the only way they could fly back because they're trying to get to New York and they don't have the money here, and they're trying to stay low. So they're flying. Venom's got him pinned, like stuck to the plane, and obviously, the comical value of it's like I can't. Yeah, it's like my mouth is dry. It's cold up here. Eddie, he would not technically be able to survive being on the outside of a plane without the venom. So for whatever reason, I can't remember what it calls it, but Venom then goes in the full Venom mode, takes over the whole body. And when he does this, the creature is on the ground, and it can see this orange glow from inside of him. That's supposed to be the codex. Which we'll find out what that is. He'll give us the backstory on that in a minute. And it makes a leap from the ground to the plane. And Venom sees it and he's like, oh shit. So he dodges it and he goes, all right, Vinny, I gotta go into hiding. So he goes back in and he just goes back to Eddie form. He falls off the plane, so he's falling. And then Venom kind of creates like a parachute for him to fall back down to. The creature gets sucked into, gets sucked into one of the plane's engines. Does not destroy the plane's engine, but gets chopped into thousands of pieces. We see it starts falling on the ground as our hippie family's driving by. And it just, so the small parts of it hit the front of the car, and most of the body falls behind it, and it starts healing itself, coming back together. So when do we get this speech about that? Because I don't. I'm trying to remember where some speeches. I'm trying to remember the parts here since. Is captured by being left for dead by an. Okay, so the dude came back with a symbiote, and I guess the symbiote left him. He eluded Strickland soldiers. He's bonded with women, Macadane ones. Eddie. Alright, so yeah, he does explain right off the bat here. Alright, so Venom kind of explains to him who, once they land from the parachute, he kind of does this little speech on who Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's right. Now I remember. I got seen out of order. So he kind of explains to him who Null is, and the Codex is when the symbiote completely merges with the host. They form this Codex thing, this life Codex thing, and supposedly in one of the movies, I guess where Eddie had got stabbed through I don't know which movie it was. Pretty much died. Venom was able to brought him back to life, and when they made that full connection, they've now created this Codex thing, and the Codex thing is the only thing that can get Null out of his prison that he's locked in, and if he gets out, he could destroy the universe. And the xenophages can only see the Codex, so it's the only thing they can see. They can see the Codex and they can only see it when they're in full Venom form, and that's the only thing they can see. And that's like a tracker to them. They automatically find it like right off the bat. Null is the creator of the symbiotes. They turned on him and locked him into the prison. So he wants out to. So this Codex is forged when a symbiote brings its host back to life, which can free Null from the prison the symbiotes trapped him in a long time ago. Because Venom revived Eddie once before, he now carries the Codex. Yeah, so there. They explained it. I guess I should have read on it. They explained it a lot better than I just did. So they find out about the plane issue with Eddie. And somehow they track him to right where he's at, and they know all about the symbiotes. So they know how to use. So the soldiers use some sonic weaponry. Oh, actually, I remember what happened. So before that, we get the scene where they're trying to walk. Eddie's lost the boot, so he's only got one shoe. They come across the horse, and then Venom does the venomized horse thing that we see in the trailer, and they go on a big run. So he rides him so that because the four legs going faster. The army or specialists or whoever they are, they spot him. They come up from behind while Venom's still on the horse, and they like zap him with the sonic thing that knocks Eddie into this river, and the Venom symbiote separate from it also into the river. And then a bunch of the soldiers like drop down into the river, and they have like special things to help them, like little jet. I don't want to call them jet. They're not technically underwater jet things to make them like go faster in the water. And they got one group going after Eddie, one group going after the symbiote. Then we get a couple parts where the symbiote, to try and escape, he grabs a fish. Then he grabs a bigger fish, eats a bigger fish and gets bigger, jumps out of the water and attaches itself to a frog. Meanwhile, Eddie's fighting with one of the soldiers who's got a gun who's trying to shoot him, and Eddie's able to take the gun and use it. Was able to force the gun against the person. Find out it's a female and shoots her and kills her. So he's actually killed someone. So someone, I guess, Spice supposedly kind of good, or this is the first time I guess Eddie himself has killed someone, not just the Venom symbiote. And then another soldier grabs him and fights, and the symbiote, and then they're headed for a waterfall, so Venom has to hurry up and jump on Eddie and reform with him. They go into form. He goes, "What are you doing? They'll find us." He goes, "But I can't let you die." So he goes back from Venom to go over the waterfall, so they'll survive the waterfall. And as soon as he goes in that, the creature which reforms somewhere, is automatically boom, detects him. He's there in an instant. Like I said, these creatures can travel mass distances at no time at all. It's like, oh, it's activated. It's there. Venom goes back into hiding. The soldiers start fighting the creature. Kills a couple of them while Venom escapes. The soldier's like, "Hey, what's going on?" I guess there was a scene I forgot where the symbiote that bonded with the detective kind of started giving him a warning about Null and how Null's coming, and they're on the run. They're on the run. They're hiding from him and stuff like that. And so after he sees this creature, he's now he's completely on board. Like, yeah, whatever. That thing told us the truth. So Eddie's walking in the woods, and he runs into our UFO family. Their father is played by Milton, who's the Lizard in the Amazing Spider-Man movie, by the way. So they offer him a ride to Vegas since they're going to Area 51. And so he catches a ride with them. Meanwhile, they get the symbiote to come out because the symbiote kind of talked through Mulligan before. Well, they get the symbiote to come out in his form, shows his full form, and he kind of tells them and Strickland the whole plan of Nolan that the only way it's trying to get the Codex from Venom, and the only way to get rid of the Codex is one of them has to die. Venom or Eddie would have to die to destroy the Codex. So that gets our military guy all puffed up, like, yeah, that means I got to kill him. So he's now, and some of the doctor now are at eds with each other because she don't want to kill him. But he's like, yeah, I got to save, it makes sense. I got to save the planet. I got to kill him, So Eddie in Vegas gets dropped off. The Milton gives him like $20. They're like, Venom's like, I'm really good at gambling. I'll win us a bunch of money. But they can't go in, so this is where you get the whole point where they have to steal a dude's suit so they can go in there. Venom goes crazy on the slot machine, loses all the money. But they run into Miss Chen, so Mrs. Chen makes an appearance. And she's like hitting it rich. She's like hit jackpots and everything like that. So they're go back to her. I guess she was given the penthouse because hitting the jackpot and Venom decides to take over Eddie and come out to do it, because he wants to do a dance with, so him and Miss Chen can do this dance together. Of course, this once again activates our alien tracker friend, who's at a gas station way on the outskirts of Vegas, and he's in Vegas at the Paris Hotel in lickety split time again, because like I said, this thing jumps like can jump miles at a time. He busts through the penthouse, and Venom goes into hiding, and he's like, just don't move, it can't see us. So it can't detect him, and it crawls back out and leaves, but then here comes the army guys coming down, and they come and they capture Eddie. And they use a sonic gun to separate Eddie and Venom, and they capture them both. And take them to the underground lair. Eddie's in a prison cell. He sees Mulligan across the way. He's like, hey, wait a minute. They said you're dead, never blaming me for it. And the other symbiote comes out and starts talking to Eddie, telling me he has to, just keep the Codex away from the thingamabobby and gather the symbiotes. You have a symbiote army here. Like that will help you. Meanwhile, the Venom symbiote is put in stasis, and it's deteriorating without its host. And they put it in the thing. It goes down to the ground, and the other doctor chick, I guess I didn't mention her yet, but she goes down, and I guess she has sympathy for the whole situation for the books of the things, because the army guy has gotten permission to take over the program. He's escorting the two scientist ladies, both scientist ladies there to talk to Eddie. He's like, you're not in charge anymore. I am, and you just work here. Oh, you used to. Escort them out of here. And he goes into the room. Looks like he's getting ready to take out Eddie. And so he's taking Eddie out. I guess the plans are to kill Eddie because Eddie killed one of his people. It's kind of self-defense. And we see that the other scientists freed Venom and bonded with him. And now he comes over here and he's able to get back on to Eddie. And of course, as soon as he does that, the creature shows up again. Bust right through everything because I said this is a magical. This creature's a little OP. The other symbiote Mulligan breaks out of his tank to start fighting where he tells Eddie to run. It eats him, so I guess Mulligan is dead again now, and so is the symbiote. Because it's kind of got I guess when it eats something, it's got these like those branch cutter things. You put the branch in and chops them into little bitty pieces. Its mouths are kind of like that when it starts eating and stuff. And like when it eats a human, you can see the blood splatter out the back. So it's kind of like a wood chipper. It's an alien wood chipper. This is the best way to describe it. So they go running. They get to the area where all the symbiotes are being held in stasis. Like, free them, we have to free them. And the creature comes in, everybody's fighting, and then people start unlocking the things to the symbiotes, and the symbiotes just start jumping on the people, and then we get this whole little army of symbiotes, which is getting really cool, because we have, like I said, there was the parts I kind of just skipped over. We had this big long scene of Eddie in the hippie van, and they're just doing the slow talk, and there's a musical thing, so that's these guys, so the movie slowed down. But now we're getting picked back up again. We're getting this heat of the battle thing. So the symbiotes, all these symbiotes start jumping on the people, and we're getting all these different types of symbiotes, which are really cool because they're like the first movie where we had a bunch of symbiotes, but they all kind of look the same. This one we're getting all kinds of different varieties of symbiotes, and it looks really cool. They're fighting the beast. Some of them are dying. And meanwhile, they're still trying to find it. Still kind of running. To get back to the surface, meanwhile, our hippie family got them the Area 51. They snuck in. They're on a tower because you got to have them there, for obviously. So everything gets out into the open, and so the fight starts waging out there. And so they just can't kill this beast because every time they cut it in pieces, it just reforms. They blow it up, it reforms. Then does a sonic scream out in the space, and Null hears it, and he opens a portal and sends another one through. So now there's two of them there. And so so Eddie tries to do this thing where Venom tries to lure him to the spot for him to get a kill box so they can get shot up and stuff like that, but that plan fails. And so they're trying to fight, and more of the symbiotes are just having a hard time, and Eddie wants to run away, but he has to stay and fight. He's trying to help people. He's protecting, saving people. At one point he gets injured. Him and Venom are not connected, but they're hiding like a helicopter, trying to figure out what to do. And Null at this point opened a bunch more portals and sent a bunch more of these alien creatures there. So there's like 4 or 5 of them. So at this point they've kind of decided, like, there's only one way thing we can do is like the cut, one, we have to die. So they kind of do their whole little, it's like, it's been great, and I'm never going to do it, we're going to die. That's the only way to save everyone. So they decide to form, and they kind of do this thing. They follow us. They start walking. And as the creatures start getting ready to attack them, Venom expands out and he starts grabbing them and trying to merge with them. And they're trying to attack him while he's trying to merge with them. And he's leading them to the acid bath, like I mentioned before. So he gets them all, and so he's pulling them all into that. And he looks at the Strickland guy and gives him the yo, heads up what he needs to do. And we find out the acid bath, I don't know who all has access to it, but Strickland has like this little eye gouger, so I guess it scans his eyes, and that's how it activates. A little over high tech, if you ask me, but okay. So he gets them all there, so everyone's there under the acid bath, and then it spits Eddie out. And they're like, no, what are you doing? It's like, you get to live, Eddie. Till we meet. So he saves Eddie while he's holding them all there. And the acid bath starts pouring down and killing them, everything all together, melting them all down. And then he starts destroying the machine. He puts like this big metal door over top of Eddie to protect him. The general guy gets blown up in so he kills the general guy. Our 2 scientist ladies are trying to run for freedom. The hippie family's been saved. They've already gotten away in their van, so they're pretty far away out of the thing. So he starts destroying the acid bath, which causes this massive giant explosion. And our Sadie, our one doctor chick, is knocked down, and so our Dr. Payne's like having the flashbacks about her brother, and she does have like the vial. What she did save was this little vial of the Venom symbiote. So she breaks it open, and it bonds with her, and it's like a super speedy. It's a super speed symbiote. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be a specific character. I'm not sure if any of these symbiotes are specific ones from the comics or not, because I don't know a lot of them. I know some of the ones from Marvel Strike Force, but I don't think any of them were those. There was one that kind of looked like Anti-Venom. But that's definitely not that's not a normal symbiote. I think Scream was in the Carnage one, if I remember correctly. No, it was not. She wasn't Scream. She was. I don't know who she was. She was a different villain. But yeah, none of them looked. I could not deny know many symbiotes to begin with. But so she turns into a super speed symbiote, is able to grab the chick and beat the fire explosion. And then we see, I guess the door got blown off of Eddie, so he's just kind of laying there talking to himself, and then he passes out. Then we cut to Eddie waking up in the hospital, and we're getting to see where he got a little earlier, where he say, "Buddy, hey, buddy, buddy." And someone's like, "He's not going to answer you. You two are no longer together. He couldn't stay with you, and you couldn't stay with him." So some military guys in there is like, "Hey, thank you. You've helped you for what you did. Thank you for what you did. You saved us all. So because of that, I'm expunging your whole record's been expunged. So you get a second chance now. You just can never ever ever talk about anything." So we see Eddie in New York, and he goes and looks at the Statue of Liberty and does, "I'll never forget you, buddy." So a nice little, sad moment. And so Venom's supposedly dead, and you get the sad ending. So then we go through. We have a mid-cut scene of Null. He lifts his head, and we kind of see his face, and Null was played by Andy Serkis, who's great for those kind of roles. And he goes, "Well, your protector is dead. Your world is now the King in Black will destroy you all." So threatening that he's now there's no Venom to protect them, that he's going to come and destroy the Earth. Then the very, very, very end, we get another cutscene. It's our bartender from the beginning coming out of a cave. Everything's destroyed. There's looks like a nuclear wasteland. So he's freaking out, and as you see him walking off into the rubble, we cut to a rock where it looked like the symbiote, like a symbiote thing, but we see a cockroach, which looks like it has a symbiote on it, crawling, and that's where it fades out. So there's our Chekhov cockroach. They said the only thing that would survive this whole thing would be a cockroach. They survive everything, so possibly Venom survived and attached himself to a cockroach, so the Venom symbiote might be alive. That's where it ends. So boom. So there, sum that up in 30 minutes. It's a lot. So, to say it little, get this tearful goodbye to Venom. So it was a black cockroach. So I guess he couldn't definitely look like it has a symbiote on it, but it was like a black cockroach in the rubble. So, a couple things. So it was a really cool final battle with these alien creatures. I mean, everyone's kind of, when they found out Null was in the movie, thought it was going to be a final battle with Null, and he really didn't do much besides a couple cutscenes. He had just a couple scenes on his little cell. So that part is disappointing. While it was a good battle, they didn't give us the battle with Null. So I was like, that's disappointing. But at the same time, I think about it, Null's supposed to be this super huge, enormous threat. Universe threatens universes. If he would have came through the portal and had like a little final, and it was just for that final battle with Eddie, that would kind of feel like a waste of Null. So he does deserve a full movie pretty much to himself, where he's doing more action stuff, aka like a Thanos. But we're not supposed to get any more Venom movies. So unless they think this movie does really good, maybe they can talk Tom Hardy into doing one more. Which I don't know if the movie will do that good, because movies don't... It's not easy for a movie to do very good this year. We've had $2 billion movies all year. Wolverine and Deadpool, which was a highly anticipated movie because it's the return of Hugh Jackman and the return of Deadpool. And it was a kids movie. Inside Out 2, I think. Maybe. It was definitely a kids movie. I'm pretty sure it was Inside Out 2. I was like, that's the top grossing movie of the year. It's a kids movie. I mean, Godzilla and Kong, as I'm a Godzilla guy, that's still like the 5th highest grossing movie of the year. So, movies in theaters don't do like they used to. Let's see, what do we have left on this year? Is Wicked. That could potentially be a big blockbuster. Dude, really good because that's a huge fan base on that movie. And it's an animated Lord of the Rings movie. I don't think that'll do that great, but I'll go see that. There's Nosferatu. I don't think that it comes out around Christmas. That probably won't do that well either, but I definitely want to see that myself too. It's on my list, but I don't think it's going to do super well with the public. There's a Christmas movie with The Rock and Chris Evans. That'll probably be, as I said, I was like, I don't see any big monster movies that big bangers in the year coming. And that's how it's been ever since COVID. So I don't see this movie doing super stellar. 4 to 500 would be its peak, which I don't think it will hit that either because I don't think its opening weekend's projected to be that high. So I don't think it's gonna be a massive blockbuster like the other two I made like 900, and I don't know what Carnage did. So I don't know if their hopes on that's gonna work. But what if? Very rare chance that this is gonna be true. What if Null is setting up a big Sony-verse crossover? They've been building these movies up for something, but they're obviously not going to get to where they're wanting to go. So what do we get? Venom survives, rejoins with Eddie. And then you got Morbius, Vulture, the Craven. And is that all? That's all of them I think we have right now. You maybe introduce a couple of other characters, and you bring them all together for the fight and all. And you could call it the King in Black or Venom War. Maybe you get how do you come back for that? Highly doubtful they're going to go that far. So that could be where they can build up for because they're building up this Sony universe and combining everybody, but they don't want to put a Spider-Man in the universe, so. They keep talking about when they throw Tom Holland in there, but obviously they can't get that to work. And then there's rumors that they were going to reset their whole universe anyways and start over and possibly work more hands-on with Marvel for when Marvel also reboots its universe, coming up with the Secret Wars. They could do that, which would be interesting because the Craven movie that comes out this year too. Like, I don't think that'll do good because obviously people are already hating on it. But to be fair, for that one, I don't expect it to have a good story. I don't expect it to be comic accurate. I'm going to throw all that out the window before I even go see it. I think it could be a good violent action movie because it's R-rated, and from the trailers I've seen, it looks like Craven's should be pretty freaking violent. Yeah, see, all it does is show him killing tons of people. So I think it could be fun. A good fun movie, not a good movie. So that's spitball, not ideal. I doubt they'll do that. I think their hopes are Tom Hardy decides to do another Venom movie. Otherwise, you're bringing, I don't know what you're just teasing off or something more for I don't know what. So I mean, that's the only thing that could make sense of not putting Null into this movie at all is you want to save him for something bigger, and you want to give him something more a bigger role than just busting out, coming through the portal at the end, and then everybody fighting him and taking him out. They probably would have used the same thing to do to kill him, but like I said, could you really establish him as a big bad in like 30 minutes? So I get why they didn't bring him in. I do think I get a reason why they didn't want to make the Spider-Man 3 problem that Spider-Man 3 did with Venom. Like, oh, boom, here's Venom, and he's dead half an hour later. So I get that there. So said it's disappointing. I kind of wanted more for the final battle, but I kind of get why they didn't give me the final battle that we thought was being teased. But it was still a good battle. Still a good CGI battle, and everything looked good and everything like that. You get your heartfelt moment of Venom sacrificing himself, the symbiote sacrificing himself to save everyone. So you get a little tear there. So I'm a softie. So yeah, I'll stick with a 7. Like I said, it was definitely a fun movie. I can excuse the not getting the final battle I wanted, although I did get a pretty good final battle with just granted they were just creatures, symbiote. They're not symbiotes. They're just alien things. Like I said, they tried to do some more touchy moments and payoff moments. Like I said, we got the moment back. We get Mrs. Chin back for a scene. We get a lot more of the same, the Eddie and Venom symbiote jokes together. Then we get the heartfelt moments of them, what they, like the whole like the car scene, which was really long and slowed down the movie a lot, but it's kind of supposed to build the drama and stuff like that. But so there were some parts that definitely felt slow and fell flat, but overall it was, it's a Sony movie, so I don't know what you're. I mean, Marvel's not exactly doing great either. Okay, although I think Marvel was getting a worse rep than they deserve. I mean, people were hating all over Agatha, and I've been loving Agatha. I think that show's been fun, and I've been enjoying that show. But that's a different video. So yeah, strong 7 because I think the ending. There's the potential for the ending to be stronger, but I get why they didn't go with it. And the story definitely could have used some work. To my knowledge, it was actually Tom Hardy, and the director, this was her first time directing. So it was directed by Kelly Marcel. This was her first time directing. It was written by Kelly and Tom. So honestly, I bet you Tom did some of the directing too. They just gave the credit to her. The writers were Kelly and Marcel and Tom Hardy. She's worked on all 3 Venom movies, and this was the first time she took over the directing duties. So it's probably more of her and Tom Hardy directing it. We might guess. Let's see how's everybody else. So right now, IMDb is giving it a 6.2. The 6.6 underneath, I don't know what that means, but imagine if people were probably, yeah, so pretty much the same comment. Isn't good enough. Budget was $120 million. Advertising on it was somewhat decent. So it looks like they're projecting it at $35 million already. I know the critics panned terribly. 38% on Rotten Tomatoes from the critics. 77% audience score. So yeah, I'm hanging out thinking so. I say that's 70% is in the 7 range there. So we're at Venom the Last, or Venom Let There Be Carnage, had a 50%. So had a way higher critic score at 57%. Its audience score was 84%. Okay, don't get that, but alright. Guardians is like they're all over the place. Spider-Man Far From Home was the way over like Thor Ragnarok was the super. Man, you're giving them like the hard comps here. That's like the hard comps. So imagine its ratings are pretty much a lot of people saying the same. Franchise full of Spider-Man one. Oh, that's a critic. I don't care about. I don't know. Actually gave it a pretty good one, though. No audience reviews. There's what I'm looking for. How do you make a literal alien God of War feel underwhelming and bland? So 2.5 out of 5. Much better than I expected. Made me shed a tear. Action was on point. That's a 4.5. Wanted to like it, I really did. It was fun and felt like there was randomness of Madam Web, and no, it didn't. 2.5. So everybody's giving it kind of mid scores. There's another 4. A little slow in the middle, but we enjoyed it. So that's pretty much where everyone's kind of give it the mid. Like I said, it's. I think I gave the first one an 8. And I don't know if I gave. What did I give Carnage? Probably 6 or 7. With the potential that it could have been much better if they would have showed him killing people. But yeah, rambled pretty long here, so we'll wrap it up. So yeah, I'll stick with the 7. It was a fun movie. There's definitely potential for more, but still wasn't terrible. I didn't hate it, didn't love it. I didn't. So it was, I liked it and I didn't like it at the same time. So it was like I said, so it's mid, but it was fun. I had fun at the end, so that's why I bumped it to the 7. Until next time, Cachorro out.